Catherine, while we're waiting, I'm
Yeah.
just curious, with the planning staff, are there just a subset of team members assigned for each area plan, or how does that work in terms of these webinars? Will we consistently meet with you if we have more of these, or should we expect other staff people?
So tonight and tomorrow was the same structure. We have 7 team members assigned to these breakout
Mm-hmm.
rooms. And so in each breakout room,
Okay.
the staff member is able to speak to 2 different plans. But it's been a team effort
Oh.
in developing them and working with the community along the
Mm-hmm.
way. So if you join tonight or tomorrow and are interested in the West Middle or the South Inner, you would speak with me. If you're interested in another area, you would speak with another team member. And then we
Okay.
have office hours Tuesday and Thursday until council decides to take action. And so we have kind of a revolving staff, or we alternate who staffs those meetings. So you could talk to any number of us. There's about 12 of us total.
Okay. Thank you. That's really helpful. And Catherine, for the office hours, is it the same meeting link, or how do we get into office hours?
Yeah, I'll walk you through that. Uh, let me
And it
pull
makes more
up.
sense for more people to come before I'm so sorry. I don't
No,
mean
no,
to
no. I can just
question.
uh so you're seeing kind of a web page floating on top of a presentation, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So our project website is charlottefuture2040.com. And
Mm-hmm.
if you scroll down here, so this is kind of the current information about this effort. And
Okay, I see.
tonight and tomorrow's webinars are here in the middle. Office hours
Mm-hmm.
are here. And so it's every Tuesday from 11 to 1, and then every
Mm-hmm.
Thursday from 3 to 5. And you can see we have
Okay.
these slots, and you can just pick a slot. And this is really just kind of a free form. Any question you have, any concern you want to discuss,
Mm-hmm.
the staff member who's in that meeting or in that space would help you and direct you and provide some guidance.
Okay,
So
great. Thank
we
you.
could, if you brought a community member with you to that meeting, we could share this same presentation with them.
Mm-hmm.
If asked, we're happy to do that as well. So
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's really helpful.
great. Well, I think we can get started. A lot of people have left the main room and joined other rooms. So it might just be the three of us tonight, or others might join us as we go. Since it's a small group, this is a great opportunity for you guys to just, ask questions along the way. Happy with that. We don't have to have a formal presentation. But like I said, I just want to kind of give you some background information about this work. And then we can spend most of the time having a conversation about any concerns or questions you might have. So, an important place to start with the community area plans is kind of the why. Why did we do this work? If you've been in Charlotte longer than a month, you've seen that we are a rapidly growing community. And we are projected to grow by 400,000 new people and 200,000 new jobs by 2040. So, knowing that this growth was coming, the city decided to undertake a comprehensive plan effort around 2018. And this was the first time that we had updated our comprehensive plan since the 1970s. The main outcome of that community dialogue, was that we want to ensure future growth benefits as many people as possible. We recognize that past growth has not benefited everyone in an equitable way. And so the vision within our comprehensive plan says that we need to do that better going forward. And there are a few main things in this comprehensive plan that are going to help us achieve that vision. The first is there's an equitable growth framework, which is really just a tool for measuring where our current equity stands. Then there are 10 plan goals that if we advance those goals, we would become more equitable in the future. And finally, there's a new tool called place types, which we need in our toolkit in order to help accomplish those goals and advanced equity. So, it's just important to know that that work was done. We knew, though, when we did that work, that we would need other levels of guidance. You can't really solve this problem in one book. So within the plan, there's this framework that says you need 4 levels of planning across the city for the next 20 years. This second level, strategic and action plans, these plans like focus on one topic. So for example, just mobility or just sustainability, but they're still at a citywide scale. Then community area plans, they start to get at a smaller geography. And so in this case, we're talking about the West Middle geography, which you'll see that kind of outline more regularly on later slides. And then after the area plans, there would still be more levels of planning called specific plans. And a great example of that would be an environmental impact plan. So in areas that have high impacts, what are the specific types of projects that need to be put on the ground to reduce those environmental impacts? So just know that this work is a part of a larger framework, and it doesn't answer all of our questions, but it's really essential for kind of advancing the whole package of what we're trying to do. So that level 3 guidance that I said, these area plans, they're really intended to make sure that every part of our city, so all 14 geographies, creates complete communities, meaning in the West Middle geography or the South Inner or the East Middle and Outer, you should be able to live in an area that has access to grocery stores, access to job opportunities. You should be able to get around easily by different mode choices like bus, car, or biking. And so that's what we mean when we say we're trying to create a complete community. The process for this work has included 5 phases. I'm not going to go into the details of these phases, but what I want to highlight is that each phase has involved a lot of different engagement tactics. So at each phase, we've had an online presence and we've also had an in-person presence. And in addition to that, as we've gone along, we've released parts of this document. So the first part of the document we released in the winter of 23. The second part came after workshops in phase 2 and so on. So we've been trying to involve people and share along the way, I think is the main takeaway. These numbers are actually a little dated. These are numbers from before releasing the plans. So just to get to the draft documents, we interacted with 400,000 people online and in person. So that's an expansive reach. 6,000 of those interactions were just in person. We know people, digest information differently, and the in-person interactions are really valuable for helping people understand and share their advice. Ultimately, we had 1,700 comments that helped shape the draft documents. And since we released the plans beginning of April, we've received another 900 comments. So we've really heard from the community throughout this effort. Those 5 steps, we did it systematically, meaning we did the same thing in every area. And the reason why we did that was we are a big city, and this is a lot of planning work. And so we had to create efficient systems to get it done in a quick time frame. But the outcome, even though it's a systematic approach, the outcome is tailored to each geography. And you'll see more of that tonight. Your plan, the words within your plan are different and reflect different data values than other areas. Ultimately, doesn't matter what area you're in, each of these 14 documents provide consistent considerations for decision making. So anytime there's a rezoning in your area, or anytime council is approving dollars to build a road or to start some kind of program, the guidance in these plans help ensure that we're thinking about it from a consistent mindset every time. We're prioritizing the things that are most important to each geography, and we're always keeping our eye on the vision of being equitable. Over time, the plan is that these documents will shape growth in a way that respects our neighborhoods. It puts growth where our infrastructure can support it, and it creates vibrant mixed-use centers across the city. So here's the West Middle um, cover page. And then to the right is the table of contents. And so if you opened up any of these 14 documents, you would see the same structure in the documents. And so if you live in one area but work in another, I'd encourage you to pick up both of the documents and just see how it's that similar structure that came from the systematic approach, but the details within it are unique to each geography. So I'm going to keep that table of contents up on the left-hand side as kind of a reference point, and then highlight some of the key takeaways that I want to share with you guys tonight. But there's a lot more in these plans if and when you have interest in looking at it. So I talked about in the comprehensive plan, we have a tool for measuring equity. That is a tool that was done at the citywide level with the comprehensive plan. Now in these 14 documents, we've refined that analysis and we show you what is the current level of equity within your geography based on those measures of equity. Equity can be different things in different contexts, but from the community, we understood that access to housing choices, access to job opportunities, access to daily goods and amenities like a grocery store or daycare, and then reducing environmental impacts is how we as Charlotte wanted to define a more equitable future. So you can see here for the West Middle, the scores for each of these measures are lower than what we want. We want to see at least a 5. So that means the West Middle geography really needs to focus on advancing all of these measures in order to be more equitable in the future. These measures were then tied or kind of connected to the 10 comprehensive plan goals. And so if a measure is a priority, then the associated goal is also a priority. Because you all have a lot of priorities, you also have a lot of focused goals. In comparison, if a geography doesn't have as many priorities, you would see fewer goals here. And some people say, well, isn't that a problem? I care about the other stuff. This doesn't mean that we stop thinking about the other goals, but if we have limited time and resources, we want to focus on these goals to really get the biggest return on our efforts and our investments. So for the West Middle, you guys, there is a lot of priorities for this geography. And I would say that your geography and the West Outer probably have the most needs. And so I think that's just an important fact for staff, community, and council members to keep in mind.
Well, I don't see anything with the first priority. Am I interpreting that chart correctly? Should there
Can you
be
say that again,
someone,
Mr. Bond?
should there be something in that list that's the first priority?
Well, it's these numbers here, number 2, number 3, 3, and 4. See how those are all kind of highlighted?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're saying our first priority is what we don't see with the numbers at the bottom.
Okay, so the first priority would be access to housing. That's number 2. And so
Okay.
that dark color, the dark teal,
Gotcha.
corresponds to the key, which is first
Ah,
priority. Yeah.
I
So
got it.
housing is, if you have to rank these 4 priorities, housing would be your greatest need. But you
Mhm.
also have a need for more jobs, more access to daily goods. And then environmental justice, it's still not where we want it to be, but that would kind of be at that would be the last one on this list.
Okay.
Um,
I got you. Appreciate it.
okay.
Yeah, thank you
So
for the
those,
question.
oh, sure, Robin.
Oh, I was just thanking Mr. Bond for the question because I
Oh,
wasn't clear on that either.
okay, great. Yeah,
Thanks.
please stop me along the way. So it is, think about being a decision maker and having this information, understanding what each of the 14 geographies needs most is really helpful in decision making. So that's like a huge value or a huge outcome of this process. The next big thing that you'll find in this document is it's called a policy map. And the colors on this map are related to that place type tool that I mentioned. So before the comp plan, we used to have 60 classifications. It was so hard to distinguish the difference between them. We could never really have a meaningful conversation with the public because they would ask, what's the difference between this and that? And, it was too confusing. So what we did with place types is we simplified 60 into 10, and now it's a lot more clear about what type of development we're talking about. So in the West Middle geography, you'll see a lot of yellow. That means um, that's the neighborhood 1 place. So it's your low density residential neighborhood. Think of a single family neighborhood. But we also allow duplexes and sometimes our duplexes and accessory dwelling units, like a garage with a unit on top. We allow that in the yellow. And sometimes triplexes or quadruplexes on your bigger roads. So that's one main color in this area. A lot of this yellow may already be that type of development. And when I say we want to respect neighborhoods, that means we're not trying to change this color into something else. And so we are upholding the neighborhoods as being very important to our city in the future. I will say if some of this yellow is undeveloped, maybe it's a vacant lot, what gets built should be very compatible or similar to what I just described. So this yellow color helps us protect the neighborhoods that are there and ensure that future development in yellow is characteristic of the neighborhood 1 type of place. The next main color I see is purple. Purple is the manufacturing and logistics place type. You can think of this could be some of your more noxious kind of production, manufacturing, also distribution. The West Middle geography has a quarry off of Beatty's Ford Road. That's considered manufacturing. And the manufacturing and logistics, from the comprehensive plan, the community decided that we should not push manufacturing out of Charlotte because it provides a type of job that is important for our economy. So on this map and through this effort, we've kind of upheld that priority. We have not changed current manufacturing to something else. But what we have done within this work is provide clear guidelines of when manufacturing could become something else. So for example, if you see the lighter purple color kind of just south of your West Middle, if you see my mouse, it's down near Brookshire and Tuckasegee. This is called innovation mixed use. So over time, your manufacturing could become less focused on production and distribution and include more different types of businesses and maybe even some residential apartments when the market's ready. So I share this to say, we're trying to protect what we heard from the community as important, but also provide some flexibility for change. Robin?
Thank you, Catherine. That's really helpful. So
Mhm.
I understand the planning and zoning for the existing neighborhoods and what is allowed there, but I'm thinking about when new businesses are attracted to the area. I'm trying to understand how decisions are made so that a particular type of manufacturing or industrial business is not concentrated in one area. So how are future plans made to align with the plan for the West Middle and other parts of the city?
So if a new manufacturing user wanted to come to Charlotte, what this
Mhm.
map does is it tells them where it's appropriate for them to go. So they would have to look for property within the purple areas. They should not infringe upon or spread out into the yellow areas.
Mhm.
So that's the plan. That's how we are shaping that kind of growth. Does that?
Right, Catherine. Yeah, I understand that. That's fine. I guess my question is, how do we ensure, because there is an over representation of these types of businesses here already, that when new businesses come that are similar in sector, um, how do we ensure that we're not overburdened with those new businesses coming and citing themselves there as well?
Yeah, well, it's a balance, right? Like we can't we can't put new purple. There's very limited places you could put new purple. So,
Okay.
right, because a lot of our city is already developed. We don't
Hmm.
have a lot of greenfield for us to put new manufacturing spots out there. So
Right.
future manufacturing will really have to kind of redevelop or repurpose the existing manufacturing spaces.
Okay.
Does
Okay.
that help?
That's Yep, that's
Okay.
helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Um, Another color I want to call out are the blues. So if you see kind of the this blue here at Brookshire, and then the darker blue up at North Lake, and the pinks. Sorry, I'll also add the pinks in there, scattered throughout. These are colors that are connected to the activity center place. So pink is kind of your neighborhood scale activity center. Think about like a little node with the grocery store and dry cleaners and maybe like one other type of uh, daily good. North Lake, you know what's there now. It is a mall and some large suburban developments. Over time, it's envisioned to really intensify. So the buildings are, there's supposed to be more buildings that come. They're supposed to get taller. We're supposed to have more roads that kind of break up those big block structures. Those future roads would have bike lanes and sidewalks that come with it. And this area is already accessible by the limited or by the express bus and would maintain that access over time. I'm not exactly sure right now off the top of my head. It might even have improved service planned for it. But because of that access and the need for kind of activity center jobs and goods, North Lake is envisioned to really kind of change and evolve over time. So these examples that I've provided kind of illustrate how this map, what this map tells us, and how it's going to shape growth over time. Within this chapter, there's also a narrative that kind of talks about how a lot of the neighborhoods will stay. Well, the neighborhoods will stay, and a smaller percentage of the area should change over time. In addition to this map, that narrative, you'll find pages that look like this where it kind of explains a little bit more, commercial areas like North Lake or at some of the smaller nodes should become more of the mixed use walkable centers that I just described. So then after that chapter, there's a chapter called Supporting the Vision. This chapter has a lot of different topics in it. And so you can see the topics on the screen. I'm going to highlight just a few key things about several of them. So, one of the references in this chapter is the neighborhood toolkit. So, there's a toolkit in our appendix which catalogs all the existing city programs that really address or help enhance these topics that we care about in terms of equity. So, improving access to housing, jobs, goods, those sort of things. There are city services that already help advance some of that work and are available to neighborhoods. And so we cataloged it as a part of this effort to help people understand what's available and help them easily get to it. So an example I like to point to, a lot of areas want more parks. There's a some language in this toolkit that talks about how you could use some of the city programs to improve a neighborhood common open space. There are some program dollars where you could apply for money to get a bench, trash receptacle, playground, that sort of thing. Then, in terms of mobility, what your plan does is it does a lot in terms of mobility. So the first thing it does is it shows you a streets map. This map was developed outside of this current planning effort, kind of before we got here. but it shows you what that map says for your geography. And you can see the lines on this map tell us what the future cross-section should be for all of our major roads. We know that a lot of the roads out here are not pedestrian friendly. They may not have a sidewalk, or if they do, it's right behind the curb and it's only 5 feet wide. From the comprehensive plan through the strategic mobility plan and now onto community area plans, we want to make it easier to walk and bike across Charlotte. And so this map is an important part that's going to help get us there. The way this would be used is when a developer brings a project to your community, they're going to have to look at what the future cross section is and help build that along their frontage. The second thing these plans do in terms of mobility is the city has, limited dollars to build mobility projects. We have more needs than we do money. And so this plan memorializes, formalizes, I should say, what our partners in DOT have been working on called the strategic investment areas. And it's basically a plan for how they're going to spend the limited dollars that they have and spend them in a way that gives us the biggest bang on our buck. So within this document, you can see how they're going to plan to spend some dollars in your area. There will be improvements around the Brookshire area, North Lake. I can't read that right now, but I think Freedom Wilkinson and Beatty's Ford, Russell's Ferry. So we can, if you have questions about that, we can get into that as well. Sorry, I've lost my mouse. Let me find it. Okay. The third thing these plans do related to mobility is, those 4 areas I just showed you, it doesn't cover the entire area, right? So you might be close to an area in the middle and think, well, what's going to happen for me? The next portion of this document will offer something. You can see this geography has centers scattered throughout the geography. And because these centers are supposed to become walkable mixed-use areas that are really going to see most of our change, we want to prioritize investments here because it helps us see the biggest return on our effort. And so, again, when a rezoning comes in, the developer should look at this table to propose a project that meets the needs. These circles, kind of half donuts, tell us how that center is functioning in terms of like a pedestrian network, bike network, that sort of thing. And so they should use it as a reference to propose something that's useful for you all. And then similarly, you guys should look at this table and compare it to what the developer's proposing and say, we don't need more crossings, we need more bike lanes. So it should be a useful reference for both developers, community members, and then also our council members who are approving projects. I'm going to note that the open space and community character chapters have a very similar assessment. So this table is assessing the mobility needs. We also have a table that assesses the open space needs and the community character needs. So all 3 tables should be used in a similar fashion to make sure future projects are bringing us the mobility improvements, the open space improvements, and the community character improvements that we need. I want to focus on environmental justice next because it's really kind of a new frontier for our planning department and our policy documents. So if you remember, within the comprehensive plan, we defined equity as increasing access and decreasing impacts. And so within these area plans, we wanted to build upon what does it mean to decrease impacts. And so you'll see that this kind of, we call them little dials, these dials tell us how the West Middle geography currently stands in terms of the environmental features that we can measure. So the tree canopy is not great. The impervious surfaces are better than compared to other areas. There is some proximity to heavy industrial sites. Remember, that's a lot of the purple that we talked about, as well as more impacts from heavy transportation, some of the big thoroughfares cut through your geography, and some flood risk. So this becomes data that, again, is very helpful in decision making by people who are working to improve those type of measures. When we developed the comprehensive plan, we did not have access to heat data. And again, if you've been here for a minute, you know Charlotte's getting hotter. Our partners in the Strategic Energy Action Planning effort identified that Charlotte has had an increase in 300% hotter days. I think that's like higher than 95 degrees. So heat is going to continue to be a concern for Charlotte, and we are suggesting, or we are recommending through these plans that heat become a consideration in our decision making. And so that's what some of this language states. And then we have a map that shows us with where some of our hottest areas are. And so moving forward, we should prioritize things like tree plantings or cooling stations in these areas that are most impacted. So that's kind of a drive through of what's in the plan. Once these documents are adopted, several things happen. You know, they are long-term documents. They're looking out to 2040. So they're going to be put into action through a number of things. Future development will have a role. There will be public-private partnerships that will build projects to help advance the goals. The city will build improvements such as streets, like I mentioned, or the county they could build greenways. And then we'll use this information in our rezoning decision, which a lot of you may be familiar with because we have a lot of rezonings in our city. But we don't stop here. So if you remember, we talked about level 4. Once level 3 is adopted, we would then move on to level 4, which provides planning for more specific issues in smaller geographies. Those plans, when adopted, would then update our level 3 plans. And then in addition to level 4, we're going to come back to level 3 and back to level 1 on a regular basis. I had said that the comprehensive plan hadn't been updated since 1975. Never again do we want to wait that long. We are committing to a frequency of about 8 to 10 years on these different levels of guidance. And so that's kind of next steps, big picture. Immediately, in terms of how these documents are moving through review and adoption, we have tonight's webinar, then we repeat it again tomorrow as discussed. That gives then a few days until we close the comment period. I said that we've had the comment period open since beginning of April and collected nearly 900 comments. And so we feel like we have heard from people, we understand what the concerns are, and we will close them at the end of this week to finish responding to them and summarizing all the issues for our elected officials. We'll then go to the Transportation Planning and Development Committee at the beginning of August, share kind of our final thoughts, final suggestions, and then they will advise us on how to proceed. More specifically, when they may be ready to take action. So with that, I want to stop talking and just answer questions and have a conversation. What's on your mind? What do you want to know more about? Happy to chat.
I have one, maybe a couple.
Sure.
Are all the areas approximately the same population?
Same population, but population is a consideration in helping to define the boundaries. So we didn't want one area to be more dense or more populated or have more issues than another. So we looked at population, projected population, as well as existing development. So if you think about geographies closer into town, they have a lot more development than some of our areas further away. And so it's both development, the growth that's supposed to come, and then natural features and other planning elements that usually help shape boundaries. So it's a
Well,
combination of things.
okay. Um, you mentioned equity. Are we talking about funding dollars in terms of equity for each for areas? Uh, some have pretty much been neglected or have not received as much in the past. Are we talking dollars or uh, pie in the sky projects?
So we are not talking specific dollars, right? We're not saying your geography gets X million, that geography gets X million. But the guidance within these plans do very much talk about how other areas have received more.
Right.
And going forward, we want to do it differently. And so the the considerations in these plans will help ensure future dollars are distributed more equitably. So it's not a direct connection, but there is definitely a correlation between these plans and how future dollars are spent.
Well, I don't know how you can measure that equity without the
Those future dollars.
right.
So we will be tracking this work, and we will be tracking things like how many new homes get built, how many new jobs come to an area, how many new roads are built by the city. We will track things and how different programs like the affordable housing program, where they spend their dollars, we'll be tracking those different metrics so that when we come back to update the plans, we can say, have we been successful and how successful have we been? So we understand that the tracking of the impact of this work is very important.
Well, one of the issues I have with the West Middle is the road maintenance. I don't think our roads are maintained at the same level as in some areas in the South End. That's one of my major concerns, that we put some emphasis on our roads.
I understand we have heard that from other community members in your geography and other parts that are further away from uptown. Um, it, yes, we agree. Maintenance is an issue, and that is something that is being explored almost kind of before this work. But this work reemphasizes the importance of that. And then I will just note, not that it's a solution or an excuse, but a lot of the road maintenance in in areas closer to uptown occurs because that's where a lot of the development is happening, and so the
Yeah.
development is contributing to that.
Yeah.
So I think an important takeaway for me there is that development is really important for future improvements. The city has a role to play, but development also plays an important role.
Okay.
But I appreciate those two questions. And is there anything else you wanted to ask, Alvin?
No, not really.
Okay. Anyone else have a comment or a question?
Now, the map.
Catherine. No, go ahead, Alvin. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to push the button to say raise my hand.
You're fine. It's a small group. Just come off mute.
Okay.
You're fine.
The map that you showed about areas the one prior to that one.
Okay.
One prior to that one.
This one.
That one.
Okay.
Is this the current situation, or is that the 2040 situation?
Great question. It is supposed to be the future 2040 situation, but it reflects a lot of the realities on the ground, right? Like we can't just paint colors on a clean slate. We have to think about the development that's there today and then make a recommendation for how to both protect what's important to us and capitalize on opportunities. So I talked a lot about the yellow earlier. Some of that yellow is existing neighborhoods today, but some of it is vacant property that should become a neighborhood. So it's a little bit of both, but we really it should be our future condition.
Do you have, is the information in this package show the growth in neighborhood one, the growth in commercial, or the decreases, the percentages that we're talking about? So you can, so I can visualize what we're talking about, how much is growing where?
That is such a great comment. So we've this is an oversight on our part. We've been using these colors on the map for so long, we kind of took it for granted that people understood what they meant. And so, as a part of the feedback that we've received since the plans have been out there, we're going to change the document so that you see the map and then a description of what the colors mean. And so, it's not going to be percentages, but you'll be able to better interpret what each color means. And then, knowing what's there today, you can think, okay, that's very different, or that's not much different than what's there today. So we're going to stay away from percentages and a lot of detail, but you'll get a better understanding of what the map says and what the colors mean with our next draft. In terms of percentages, we do state here in the narrative,
Well, it looks like you got a legend already that's on the.
Yeah, it's a legend, but like, if we weren't having this conversation, would you understand what the yellow meant just by neighborhood one? That's what we found is we need to expand on what that means better. Okay. So we're gonna put the legend with like a picture and a description, so people can better intuit what the map says. We do have a geography percentage, so 83% of the West Middle will stay in character with what's there, but 17% is going to see a more significant type of change. So this example, the commercial development, so your auto-oriented retail shops will become more of a mixed-use, integrated, walkable area.
It would really help me to still get the percentages. I could better understand the character changes a lot better than colors.
Okay. Oh, we do have, let me share this. Sorry, I have to find my mouse in. So in the document, sorry if this makes anybody dizzy. This is the page that we looked at today.
Yes.
Currently, the next page, there's this bar chart, which I think starts to get at what you're asking for. So within the geography, there's about 13,600 acres that are already yellow, and we're recommending a slight increase from what's there to 1,400 for yellow.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Okay. And so, red, there's currently 1,200 acres of commercial auto-oriented retail, and we recommend that gets reduced down to 400 acres. And that reduction, some of it becomes a neighborhood center and some of it becomes a regional activity center or other place types.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Okay, great. Sylvia, I think you were going to say something before Mr. Bond's last question.
Oh, that's okay. If somebody else has something to say, I'll defer.
Okay.
I'm good. Thanks, Catherine.
Sarah, I haven't seen your name that I remember, and so I've been talking to Robin a little bit. I'd love to just recognize you and thank you for joining us. And if you have a question, we're happy to answer that. Or Robin, we have time to share.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm honestly early. I'm technically Southwest Middle, but was just hopping around to kind of learn more about surrounding areas. So
okay.
Thank you for having
Actually,
me.
your voice does sound familiar. Maybe I do know you. And I do think, well, I don't want to misspeak. You're planning to be here for the 6 p.m. session?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Which, thanks for the reminder, it's 5:53. We do have a hard stop at like 5:59 so that we can then transition to talk about the next geography. Robin, did you have any final questions or concerns?
I think just generally, I'm just really curious how the plan specifically fosters development that leads to more accessible amenities that you mentioned earlier, things like grocery stores and parks and safe walking routes, how the plan is actively going to really encourage that, not just density with housing and other types of development.
I'm so glad you asked that. So, we had talked about how these 10 colors, the place type tool was an improvement for us. We previously had 60 colors. And a big distinction, not only just the consolidation, the 60 colors really only talked about this type of development, so housing or manufacturing or office, so the types. These 10 colors not only talk about the type of development, but also the form. So the pink and the blues that I talked about, they're going to be allowed to have a more variety of uses. So anything from grocery store to daycare to different professional services, nails, doctor offices, that sort of thing. So we're encouraging those types of uses to go here because that's what we're saying is expected and should it happen. But these colors also talk about the type of building or the form of the building that should happen. So in these pink and blues, you should not have a large suburban building set behind a large sea of parking. These buildings are going to be closer to the street. You will see a sidewalk, in many instances, bike lanes. You'll see connections from the street to the building. The buildings will have windows that you can look in and see what kind of activity is taking place. And so all those elements combined create a much more pedestrian friendly environment. Again, it's this map and what those colors mean that are going to help shape the redevelopment that you described.
Great, thank you.
Well, just a reminder, we have one more session tomorrow, and then comments close at this Friday. So if something comes to mind, you're welcome to make comments on the project website. I'll just go there again for quick reference. Here you would click View Plans, and that would take you to this menu. You would select the one you're interested in, and then you use this comment bubble to drop your comment on whatever page you want to make a note on. So that's all due by Friday, and then staff will respond to everything. We have been responding to things. We're going to post all of our responses on the project website. It would be here. And then, as I said, we would take all that feedback to council at the April 4th TPD, and then they would give us some direction on when they're ready to take action. With that, if there's no other questions, you're welcome to leave or to join another breakout room if there's another part of town you want to hear about or comment on. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up my next deck unless there's any last questions.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thanks, Sylvia.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.